And then with any luck, yeah, there we go. Okay. What a rigmarole. Don't need, oh, I do need this. Ah, I don't need my headphones. Been a couple days. It's like figuring out what I'm doing here. Okay, so restream is on. And then I'll make sure my this tab is muted. And I just need to get back into my own live so I can see the comments. Yeah, that's fine. Good. Okay, here we go. Talk about a rigmarole. And that's what it takes. I had my my live stream. I've been using Restream to go live, and then I had my Restream access like revoked, I guess. I don't know. And so it's just taking me a minute to figure out, get everything wired back up. Okay, good. I'm just bear with me. If you just jumped on the stream, I'm just getting set up here. I'm like half an hour late because I'm trying to figure out. Yeah. Man, I've got so much to talk about tonight. But let's talk about, let's read a story. We do this sometimes. Maybe not this one. I think I read this one before. We've done some stories off of Cree Literacy Network, which is pretty good. Kâniyâsihk, pitagwe. This one's a sacred story. Why the moose has a baggy coat, wide dialect. We could work on that one. This is from Solomon Rat. I don't think we did this one before. Oh, this is a translation. Did we do this one before? I can't remember. I think we did, actually. That's okay. We could read it again. How long is this story? That's not too bad. It's okay if we did this one before. Let's read it again. So this was from Stan Cuthand. Stories of Wisagitsak, Saskatoon, from the SICC 1973, which is pretty cool. I should, every time I see one of these old books, I'm like, I wonder if I could find that old book. Just gonna do a quick Google search and see what comes up here. No, I'm guessing it's gonna be, oh, maybe it's this one. Maybe that's where it came from, this book. That's probably it. 74 pages. That's probably the one. So this was translated into Nehiyuan by Solomon Rat. Okay. And we'll just read through. I wanted to get into some other stuff tonight. Since I spent a week in, well, I'd been on the road for a month, it feels like. Oh, no, not feels like, it has been. But I just got back from kâniyâsihk, the camp there, which was amazing. I came home with a hide scraper. I'm still not quite sure how that happened. And so I'm like, oh man, I even have a moose hide. You know, just like, I just realized we have all of the ingredients for hide making, except for a frame. I have a moose hide in the freezer. I have a moose brain in the freezer, which technically isn't mine, which has been there for a while. And now I have a hide scraper from kâniyâsihk. This one, it came home with me. I after the trade blanket, which is amazing. Okay, so let's let's read a little bit. Pegwawe sagayas moipsisqua giuti mioisa kâniyâsihk. Don't know this word. Tisqua. I gotta get my screen brush. I use this tool now that I have my restream going again. I can use this. It's amazing. Get my, which allows me to draw on the screen, and then everybody can see it. But I need to go into ghost mode. Tisqua, tisqua, tisqua. Got it. Don't need that. And then I can draw on the screen, which is lovely. Okay. Mio esagan. Mihioisa kâniyâsihk. Egun moya giuti miteiskanuak. I think this is like antlers, right? What does it say over here? Horns. The animals did not have fur coats and horns. If we've read this already, that's okay, because repetition is a good way to remember stuff. Egwa speak gagi ate gisanag metanimane psisquaki gautsuak. Gautsu. Is it gautsu or gautsu? Let's go over to the dictionary here. Gautsu. Gautsu. But you'd say a gautian. A gautian. Gautsin. Gautsinti. Are you cold? Okay. So so when it got cold, I think that's the difference. Gagi is more specific to like a time. If you just said ispiga would be more like, the way I understand it, ispiga gisanag, when it gets cold, when it got cold, like, and then you could be even less specific with like mana. Ispiga gisanag mana, or ispiga gisanag seems less specific to me, but this one, gagi, is like, seems like a specific time. Spiga gisanag metmana psisquak gigautsuak. They got cold. When it got cold, the animals would get cold, I guess. Ispigagi dahkiuik. Dahkiu. I think this is when it would, when the cold wind would, when it was, we'll go check the English in a second. Moigigisuayu. Moigigisuayu o papage asagayuawa. Let's go see what this says. The cold winds made the animals suffer. However, when the world became very cold, the cold winds made the animals suffer. Their thin coats were not warm. Oh. Papage, which is like, is it thin? I meant flat. Papage. Thin. Oh yeah, I guess if you papage. Okay, that makes sense. Thinly. Nope, not that one. And then asagay. Asagay. Is that a coat? Why have I been saying okay, skota, guys, the way I say that? Asagay. Skin. Okay, that makes sense. I was confused. I'm still having a little bit of language brain here, where I heard so much language. Oh, Blaze says, was this language traditionally written or only spoken? So it was written traditionally using what they call a syllabics, jakpegana, which there was lots of discussions about this jakpegana at Sweetgrass specifically, because one of the stories in that book, I can actually show you that writing system right here. These are some stories from that were picked up by a fellow named Bloomfield in 1925, 1924. And there was a fellow by the name of James Evans who claimed to have invented the syllabics, but there's a lot of contradictory. For instance, when they printed those, in the Missionary's Own Writing, when they printed those Bibles, they sent them ahead to communities, and they were like, we sent these Bibles ahead to these communities in the West that we've never had contact with, and they could already read them. So, oh, that's not the one I'm looking for. The one I'm looking for is, that's not the only one, but there's also stories around calling badger is one, and actually that's what I'll show you right here, is, if I can just find it, Bloomfield, and the syllabary, is this the one? No, not this one. That's the typed up version. The one I'm looking for is this one here. This is the story of, this is one of the stories. There's a story in here. You can see these syllabics. These are written by, I think these ones are written by a fellow by the name of, these might be Fine Day or Chicken, but these came from Sweetgrass. You can just, I know you can barely see those. If you give me a second. But in here, there's a story of the origin of the syllabics that came from Sweetgrass in 1925. And it talks about the Mistanuskoyo Gisigasu, calling badger. Anyway, I'll find those in a minute. But not many folks use those anymore. But it's coming back. Lyndon LB says spoken. I think more so specifically the language is spoken. And again, back in there was a research done in 1983 by a fellow named John Murdoch, and he went back into the missionaries, what do you call those, correspondences or whatever. And there were lots of instances of communities that were very fluent in the syllabics writing systems back when he supposedly invented them. Anyway, whole discussion there. There's lots of work going into that history and reclaiming some of that stuff. But anyway, let's get back to our story here. So their thin coats are saying asagai, which was confused about asagaiuawa, their thin skin, I guess you'd say, but they're thin coats. So I guess it's an animal. You don't think of an animal skin, you think of it as a coat. So that makes sense. Peaguawigigisagag, masquagi tomeo, kotagapisisqua, tape mamuapiet. So one day, I guess you'd say, Musqua, the bear, gintomeo, he invited them, kotaga, these other animals, tape mamuapiet, to come and meet, I guess you'd say. Negik, pisu wapos, apsumusus, egwa mahke sismina, kakiogotaga psisquak sagagote, gipe totewak. So, what's negik again? Is that otter? Pisu, that's like, is that lynx? What does it say? Lynx. Otter, lynx, rabbit, apsumusus. Apsumusis is the way I learned that, but apsumusus would make sense. The fox and all the other animals from the bush came, I guess. Mananto, Commander. Jesse says, good evening from Saskatoon. Miasin itagosinian, itagosiniek. Gi wiasuewak tawitamoatik simantua kigwe kagi totetakik tanto tenitotamuatik kisuahona. So wiasueo, I don't know this word. Well, it sounds like a mantu soeo na. which is like the natural laws or creator's laws, right? But uyasuyo, what does that mean? I guess it says over here, decided. Ki uyasuyo tawitamuatik, to tell them, kisimantua kigwe kantoita kagi ntoita kik, to nitutamuatik ki suahona. Might have to just go. Let's go and see what it says over here. They decided to tell the creator of their needs. And ask him for warmer coats. This is a word I request something, yeah. Pray for something, request something. So yeah, that's a cool word. Which is different from another word, kakweitsum, which is it more literal? If you say kakweitsum, is that just a more literal word to ask or request? Like, is one of those more specifically? It's interesting. It's interesting. Crystal Cree, watching from Phoenix, Arizona. Miasin. What you doing there? Teresa McLeod says ask. I wonder what the difference is between this one. And then this one here, gisua. So like that gisu is to be warm, I guess. Gisua wahona. This word I've never heard before. It's an interesting. Crystal's working and going to school. Miasinanma. Gisua hun is warm clothes. Interesting. Interesting word. Let me read that one more time. I'm going to try and sink some of those into my brain here. They decided. What it was that they wanted. The nitamuatik, to request of the creator, I guess. Kisuahona, warm clothes. Okay. Kiwiasuawanuan apsamusus. It was decided, it sounds like that anuan, that part there means like in general, I think. So this, if wiasuweo was to decide something, then this says to me, wiasuanuan is like, there's two ways I would hear that. I think wiasuanuan or wiasuanu would be the two ways I think you could say that, but I guess it was decided. Apsumusus kakwa eguamasqua ka ntunuatik o stay suawa wisagetakwa wisagetaki kaskemao the witamuat kisimantua kiwe kantoitakik. Nehiwe when played Cree wide dialect. I didn't realize we were reading a Wisagetak story. So I hope you'll forgive me that's not snowing. We're here, so we're going to keep going. I think that means uyasuanuan, it was decided, apsumusus kakwa, which is I forget what that is, and the bear, we're gonna go and invite their older brother. Wisagetakwa kaskimao. I forget what that means. For that, they were to speak for them, basically, to tell the creator what it was that they wanted. But I forget what this word is. Kaskimao. Kaskimeo. To persuade the creator, I guess. So is it? Oh no, he was persuaded. He was persuaded to tell the creator what it was that the animals wanted. And to invite him, I guess. They went to invite him, and then they persuaded him to tell the creator what it was that they wanted. Yeah, it's I kind of picked the story at random, Crystal. So we're here. All right, we'll just keep going. I hopefully don't make it snow or anything. So I'll just say kistesno kenweski macho wa tikese metanegin wispies kagi pito tate ksemanto kenweski pixko wisage tsaki natoto eogwa moigi otsi pixko. Okay, I got to think about this a little bit. I'm just trying to keep up with the comments here too. I think we're okay. So kistesno kenweski matsu. This would be like traveled, right? I hear this in different contexts to mean different things. Travels, but it can also mean like to make a living. But I think in this context, it's like he traveled to the mountain, I guess. Watsik, yeah, to the hill or to the mountain. Metnikin ways pies kagi pito tate. I got to think about this because I don't quite understand it. So it's one of those contexts where I'm like, I understand, I know what all those words mean. Pito tate. What does it say over here? After a long time. Oh, I see. Eventually. Not my brain was thinking kâniyâsihk, but it's bisk. Metnikin wask bisk. So metnikin wask is like a long time and then eventually. There's other sort of meanings for that too, but let's go have a look. Bisk. Eventually, at last, in the end. So that makes sense. Peto tate ksimantu. So eventually the creator showed up, I guess you'd say. Kenweski pixqueo, and he spoke to him for a long time. Wisagetsaki natoto. He listened. So Wisagetsak listened to him. Egwen moi goats pixqueo, but he didn't speak, I guess. Is that what it says over here? Yeah, he listened and did not speak. Yeah, makes sense. I'm always wondering, like, this is one of those ones, that word, oze, which I mean, can mean as so looking at it from a learner perspective, oze, usually the first way we learn use that word, oze, like, saniwatsi waskaigan ozinia, that's where I'm from, oze, right? But in some contexts it can mean with, and in some contexts it can mean for or by, for, from, with. But in this one, I'm just starting to, like, I think I understand. And if you ask fluent speakers, like, why did you say oze right there? Like, why? And they would say, well, that's just the way that you say it. So then you kind of learn it that way. But I still look at that sometimes. I'm like, why would you use oze right there? Right? Why wouldn't you use oze in Wisagetsaki natoto, but moigi otspixquo? It almost seems like you only use it sometimes in the negative frame, I guess. I don't know. I'm over evaluating this. Just one of those learner questions I have. Oh, as I spill my water all over myself. Live on the internet. Anyway, Mananto. Commander says, oh, Cher says he came to Or. Yep, that makes sense. Commander, I have to refresh my memory. I take Plains Cree classes in school. Yep, you and me both. We're doing the memory refresh together right here. Justin, this looks like my language. Aha, tapwe, Plains Cree y dialect, ni hiu iwin. I mitzigeak. We're reading tonight. Otagu no tipskag. Tipskage would be tonight. Anutskatipskag, I guess you'd say. Anutskatipskag, can you say that? I don't know. Chandria, Manantonia, Kimaga. Pitagwe. Okay, let's keep going here. Semantogi sipwe teo, so then the creator left. Wisage tsakao gi na teo psiskua. So he went back looking for those animals. Kiwi tamwe oksimantua. Egi gitamagim gotik. Now, I think that's the way. This is one of those words where I've never heard anyone say. I've heard like gitamagim nan. No, gitamagim. I've never heard anyone say this before, but I think that's how you'd say that. Egi gitamagim game gotik. But if you said gitamagimigotik, you'd be correct also, because there's not just one way. Different areas that you go might be said differently. But I think that's the way I would hear that. Egi gitamagimigotik. Commander says, where can I find this to study? So if you go to this site here, Google it, Cree Literacy. Was really cool, by the way. So Cree Literacy Network. If you just Google this, I just hung out for a couple weeks with Arden, who's the maintainer, the creator and maintainer of this. Go ahead and take a screenshot of that. Google that, Cree Literacy Network. So if we go there now, and then under, this is the camp I just came from here, by the way. If you go at the top here, this little hamburger, and click on Read and Listen in Cree, it's right there. And then we're just going through, I think we're in the Atayokewana right now, but you can go under Stories. I know that's hard to read on your phone. Atsumona or the Atayokewana. There's a bunch of stuff in here, and so I believe we're under this one. So down here we're reading this one, Why the Moose Has a Baggy Coat, this one here. And this one comes with audio too, so Solomon Rat reads the story also, but we're working through it, kind of studying, I guess, if you want to think of it that way. Mananto. Okay, so so he went to find the animals again. He told them that the creator had taken pity on them, I guess is how you'd say that. That word, if you know that word, jmaks, it's not exactly the same as this, but that beginning, gitamag, it comes from this word here. That's where that word jmaks comes from, which I mean, like, yeah, it has like different connotations under different contexts, but generally it's to be pitiful, I guess. Like in a, you hear somebody prayer and say, oh, like, I'm just a pitiful person too, right? Like in a ceremonial context, maybe you'll hear that, but also Chandria says like somebody who's cheap, jmaks, or like miserable, I guess you could say. But in this context, that word, gitamagimgochik, he took pity on them. Gitamagimgochik. Ego wiwa gana nawasunatik, to choose. Itawak wiana ga dwematik. Ego wiwa ga, they were gonna, and so they would choose, I guess. Nawasunatik. Itawa. I'm guessing that means like what kind. I'm not sure. I'm sure I've heard that before. Wiana gantwematik, that they wanted. They would have their choice of fur coats they wanted. I want to look up that word. What kind? A certain kind. Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, Chandria says, Tante Otiga, Asanio Watsu was Skaigan, Utinia, Gaia, the Rocky Mountain House is where I grew up. Yeah. To choose, was there another word? Nawasuna is to choose, Nawasuneo is to choose something animal. I didn't realize Wiana. It's like a fur coat, I guess. But I didn't realize that was animate. That's interesting. Wianawa. Interesting. Okay. So they were going to have a choice of what kind of coats they wanted, I guess. Kakio peguan is peguanispi. So why is that? Kakio peguanispi gi big squewake gi not sahwewak. Ki go ya nagentoe machek. Kantoe machek. I wonder if that's like at the same time. Everyone at the same time. Everyone spoke at the same time. Egwa not sahwewak. Don't know this word. Not is like to fetch, maybe. Not sahwewak. Let's look this word up. Not sahwew. I know the syllabics. I can show you the syllabics. Cher says, do you teach the syllabics? I learned the star chart by Reuben Quinn. If you go, if you're interested in that, I'll just show you real quick. From Louisville, Mia Sin from Louisville, Hubima, Mia Sinanma. If you're interested in syllabics, this is what I learned here. Reuben Quinn, YouTube. This one here. A History of the Cree Language 1 and 2. This is my This is my first Cree teacher, Reuben. He just published a book. I saw that in Edmonton here just recently. I have no idea where to get it. I can't wait to get my hands on it. But anyway, if you watch these videos, part 1 and 2, this is the method that I learned. Smudge first and all that kind of stuff. This is about an hour and a half, but he talks about the history of the language, history of the Cree people, and then he talks about the syllabic system. Yep, so that's what I would recommend. Chandria says, I only need a little bit of Cree, but appreciate. Yeah, Tapwe. I don't teach the language. I mostly do TikTok stuff. Oh, there's a long story. I won't get into it. Just to remind, it's easy to get distracted by TikTok and the world, busy and all that kind of stuff. So this is just my journey. Nihiu, this is my grandmother's first language. So this is a language reclaiming journey for me as well. Both my wife and I are language learners. We're trying to pass language on to our kids. Language isn't an individual journey, it's a collective journey. So we're work on this together. So I'm here to, I don't know, I remember that word, to just to remind, to remind you, hey, your language is still here. It's not too late. Right? When I was at that gathering, this gathering here, which was amazing. Man, if you get the chance to go to kâniyâsihk, this was amazing. Hang out with this guy. What was so amazing about this to digress from our story, I went there and on Tuesday, I was there last Tuesday, and Kevin was like, hey, would you like to, talk about your language journey? I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. And one of the first things I told him was there were 20 fluent speakers here sitting there. And I'm like, I've never been in a place with so many fluent speakers before. I've been at culture camps and stuff, and there's speakers. Usually there's Nishnabig, and then there's, some Nehiwak and mix. Some people speak, some people don't. But this one, these were all university students, and they had the bulk of them, they were N dialect, Teach dialect, Y dialect, and there were like 20 plus, like more than, there was like so many fluent speakers there. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So why am I talking about this? Because my journey on doing live streaming and creating content online started here at this camp 2 years ago, kâniyâsihk, when we were taking a break there. And so it's been 2 years in this journey, and going there was really reaffirming to be like, we have to work together to continue to revitalize our languages. We have to continue, and and the other thing I was going to say is, like, I hear so many people, and I even heard people there saying, when we did the sharing circle, saying, oh, I never pass this on to my kids, or I never learned my language. My mom, my nokom spoke to me, and like, and I told everybody the same thing. It's not too late. If you got grandkids, it's not too late. It's not too late to learn your language. It's not too late to speak your language. If you're and if you fluent speaker, if you are a fluent speaker and your kids don't speak the language, it's not too late. Just start speaking it. Just start using it. And when they ask you something or whatever, you can say, how do you say that in the language? You can just start introducing that. It's not too late, right? Don't give up on that. So this is just a reminder. I don't teach. All of that to say that I don't teach. This is just a reminder. Hey, your language is still here. And this is good for me too, because I get to read this story again and try to remember some of these words. Okay, let's start at the top. So I think this says I think that's like at the same time. That seems like it. They all spoke at the same time. Egwa gi natswewak natsahwewak gigo wayana gantwe matik. I want to say they started like going for it, but let's go see what that word says. So they started, it says to send for someone. I wonder if this is a different context though. Let's go read what the English says. Oh, they started placing their orders. Everybody talked at once and they ordered what they wanted. Of course, the Nehioian's a little bit more descriptive, but that's fine. Kapenipin git atoskeo sageta. Gagipe tagwa giniek mitse wayana egwa metaskana meteskana giaya will. So so he worked all summer. And when fall came, he had lots of coats and horns, I guess. Miteskan, is that just a horn or is that an antler too? Miteskan. Okay, so it could be horn or antler. Okay, that's good to know. Miteskana. Miteskan giayaoyo. So by fall he had many coats and horns, it says. Make that a little bit bigger. Hopefully you can read that okay. That seems okay. Muswamana kikamwatsu egwagina nuhtegusu. So the moose was kind of, kamwatsu was like mellow, I guess, eh? Quiet. Kamwatse. Kamwatsu. It's like quiet. Yeah, still quiet. Okay. And was sleepy. The moose was quiet and sleepy, I guess. Gimiwetam tamawat waskatamwa. I don't know what that is. Waskatamwa. Waskatam. He liked to eat something. It says water lily roots. I wonder what it says over here. Juicy roots of the water lilies. Tamitsit nipia. Ko tagapsiskwa kipe natago. The other animals came for him? Huh. Egwagi itago. Muswa. The kiepien. Pogo tana tisahwat. Giwayan. Some tongue twisters here. Alyssa says, where are you from? Where did you learn? I am from the Rocky Mountain House area. Magaya Nigipewigan Amiskuati was Skaigani Gagimatsi Nehioyan. I lived in Edmonton when I started learning the language. And so I can't say I just learned it mostly in one place. Lots of classes, but there's also a conversational group floating around there. I went to that a lot. Gispin kia gispin enote nihuian enote giskanomagusian nihuian. If you're interested in learning the language, hang out with other learners. Find other learners and hang out with them and study. Especially folks who have more language than you, because they will just hand feed you like everything they've learned, and spend a lot of time studying in between. If you're around fluent speakers, if you know your parents or relatives or whatever, you like ask lots of questions and stuff. Just because someone's a fluent speaker doesn't mean they can teach you the language. Like doesn't mean that they're a teacher or that they have the patience or whatever. I know a lot of some people are like, I ask my dad questions all the time, but he just gets frustrated after a while, just stops talking to me kind of thing. Which is fine, right? Just because someone has a language doesn't mean we can expect them to just give it to us. But if we can start using the language as much and just encourage them to be like, hey, can you, how would you say this? Or can you speak the language? Right, just start to reclaim that in our day. Alyssa says, I'm from Waskasu Sagaigan, Laklabish. Starting to learn. I have some books for kids. Miasin. Muslim has been phoning me and only speaking our language. Oh, record those phone calls if you can. That's miasin maya. Record those phone calls. So that one day, the best way, if he's just talking the language to you, and just keep those recordings for yourself, and then as your language progresses, or like re-listen to those. So there's this process we do called transcribing. Okay, this is an awesome opportunity for you right here, right? Which is a really interesting segue. I'm launching an app next month specifically for the purpose of transcribing. And basically what it looks like is you take a recording. Just give me just a while. I'll just pull this up here. Transcribe. You take a recording and you play it back slowly, piece by piece, in order to figure out what's being said. And I'll show you what this is going to look like. We're launching this. I've had a prototype of this going for a while. We're launching this in like a couple weeks, the public version. So this is what this looks like here. I apologize, that's really hard to see. That's not too bad. So basically you take a recording like this, and you can take, and all of these little pieces you see in here are segments of the recording. So we'll go through. I'll just find one that I haven't done yet. So this is actually Irene Fine in 1994. We'll take and we'll mark out this segment right here. So I just created this segment right here. Okay. And it just popped an item in the bottom of the list. And now if I play this, I'm going to turn this down so this doesn't blast you too bad. If I play this. So I'm hoping you heard that, but you can play it again and again. I can't quite hear it where I'm at. I turn that up. Itapasi, so kahkio. So then we would figure this out. Kahkio. Asai. A tapasi something. Tapasihimi sounds like. Tapasihimi. That's kind of what it sounds like. I don't know what that means. They were made to run away, maybe. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you this is because if you have those recordings, as your language improves, then you can go back. But then the other thing you can do is when you start to recognize some of those words, you can ask him, hey, what does this word mean? This is what you said. What does that mean? Right? Like, that's such a beautiful opportunity right there. It's every time we get an opportunity to record fluid speakers, I get so excited. But it'll be, if you got those recordings, then you'll be able to go and like, I have some recordings I worked on for there's one, the very first transcription I did, I finished it 4 years after I started it, because as you get language as you go, right? So that's beautiful that he's phoning you and speaking to you. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Cherokee. Oh, was Cherokee. Okay, let's keep going here. So this was lily pad roots, right? The Mitsitnipia, the willows, I guess you'd say. Kotagak soya. Musomana gikamat suegwa ginanutegsu. He was a quiet and sleepy, I guess you'd say. He was kimuetam tomat waskatamwa. He liked to eat the lily pad roots. Tamitsit nipia, and the nipi and the leaves. So not nipsi, willow, nipi, nipia, and the leaves. I get this confused sometimes. Nipi, nipi is water, nipi is a leaf, nipia leaves, nipsi is a willow, nipsia is willows, plural, I guess. Okay, now we got that straight. This is an interesting demonstration of, if you're unfamiliar with how I'll say the verb system, I guess. We have two different words here for eat. So he liked to eat lily pad roots and leaves, right? But in one case we say tamawat, and in another case we say tamitsit. Both of those mean to eat. Tamawat waskatamwa, so to eat those lily pad roots. So because there's, you could describe this as like, one way you could think of it, we call it animacy, and so different things in the Cree language may be what we call animate or inanimate. That's one way of thinking of it, like if they're kind of alive or not alive. It doesn't really mean that, like it kind of does. You might think, okay, well, why would the lily roots be alive but the leaves wouldn't be alive? So you end up just kind of thinking of it as two different classes or two different, I've heard some people call it like gender, like in French they have like masculine and feminine things, I guess. It's sort of like that, but in a kâniyâsihk, when you're speaking the language, it's more like this is an uma thing, uma this, or awa this. And again, it's just kind of the way it is. But that's what that is. So in this one, it was the muat, something that's an awa. He liked to eat waskatamwa. And mitsit, this is tamitsit, uma. So you would know that this was waskatamawa, and this would be nipi uma. That'd be the difference between those. One is an awa and one is an uma. Kotagak pasiskuak gipe natago. Nateo is to like fetch somebody, right? Nateo. Yeah, they came to fetch him. So other animals came to fetch him, and they told him, Gitago, muswa, the giepien, pogo, gipu. I forget what that means. Gipu. Gipu. Oh, act quickly. You have to act the gipien pogo the natisahwat. Natisahwat. Gawayan. You have to be quick to, what did they say? Order, or to choose, to order, to ask for your fur, your coat. Kamoy stasinin, you're going to be late. Let's go see what their original. Oops. My thing's broke. The others came to the moose and they said, Moose, you better hurry and order your coat. Oh, it may be too late, they said. Kamoy stasinin, you're going to be late is the way I would sort of interpret that. Geapits ka geistenain gitetam. Geistenum. What does that mean? Geistenum. To catch something in time. Geistena. Interesting. I'll still get it, he thought. Gitetam. Missuats geapits Mr. Wayanak itagoak. Surely, Missuats? No. Surely? Missuats? Whoops. Oh, at any rate. Missuats. Anyway. At any rate, there will be a lot of furs. Itago is like it exists there. It exists. There'll be lots of furs, he was thinking. There is yet time. There's time yet, he thought. Besides, there would be plenty of coats. Missuats, at any rate. It's interesting. Stacy says, how did you learn to speak Korean? I don't speak a word of Korean. Thanks for asking. Carrie, Rocky Cree, Miasen, Dansa Carrie. Ja, Miasen. Pitagwe. Peagua egigisagag, Wisagi Itzaki in Tomeo Kakiop Siskwa. So eventually Stasino, he invites all of these animals. Penati kok Kiwayanuawa Mina Kiteskanuawa Egis de puit. He said thusly. Isse. I think that's just like specific. That's like ute. Sometimes whenever you see isse in there, it's like more pointed, it's more specific. But like you can't just ask a fluent speaker like, hey, why did you say isse there? But it seems like it's just being he said specifically to them, I guess. So one day, I guess he invited all the animals. Come get them, I guess. Nati kok. Come get them. Let's go look at this word. All of y'all, come get them. Come fetch them now. So it's a command. If you were saying to fetch someone, just to one person, you would say nas. Like somebody, like a person, nas. But this one, if we go down here, it's going to be right at the bottom. Yeah, so these are, lots of these we don't hear very often. Like some of them, right? These are really interesting. So this is what they call that an imperative. It's just like the command. Like if I say eat, that's a command, eat. They call that an imperative. Like you have to do it now. Mitso. So if I was saying for you to fetch me, I'd say na sin. But this is where they get interesting, because if I said, hey, come get me later. Come get me later on. Like when you guys go to the store, come get me. But I wouldn't say na sin, because that means right now. When you go to the store, meaning later on, like implied, later on, nasi kan, come get me. At that time, later on at that time, come get me. We can say that. So in English, we'd say, hey, come get me later on. But and you say, nasi kan, come get me. And later on is implied. But if I'm talking to more than one of you, that's just if I'm saying it to one person though. If I'm saying that to more than one person, all of y'all, right now, nasinan. But if I'm saying later on, kâniyâsihk. These ones here you don't hear very often, like every once in a while. And I think even some communities don't maybe use all of these. Go get that person. Nas, go get that person later. Nata, gun. I've never heard that before. And like, I don't know all of these ones, these delayed ones. This one I've used a little bit, just like I remembered that one form. But anyway, that one that we're looking at in the story, that's right here. So if it was just like, all of y'all, go get that one, natik. All of y'all, go get all of them, natikok. Natikok. That's the one we're looking at right there. All of y'all, come and get all of them, your coats. Waya anuawa, mina ketes kanuawa, and your horns, he says. Egis te puit. Mananto ash, kimaga. We've seen this not come up a couple times. 7:30, so let's switch gears. We'll remember where we're at in this story. I think we're maybe about, we're about half done. We got about halfway through it. So we'll come back to this one next week and we'll finish it off. We'll remember where we were at. But we keep seeing that one, that not. So maybe I'll switch gears right now because I wanted to talk about this thing that keeps coming up. It's called, I keep hearing about this root word method. And we've talked about this for a while, like not the root word method specifically, but about morphemes or morphology. Because each of these words, aside from the derivation, there's two types of ways that a word breaks down. So if we look at this, this is called, they call these conjugations. You see not is in there. So actually if I search for that, whoops, will that go in there? Yeah, there. So if I search for that, then it lights up the not part, right? And then we could see that the word changes depending on who you're talking about. Who's talking to who? Genat din I fetch you. Or a not dan when I fetched you, as I fetched you. Not thou I fetched that one. Genat din wow I fetch all of y'all. Right? But this piece here, there's two parts to this word, which is really interesting. These parts here are who's doing what, but this root part here is the meaning of the word. And this isn't, so one of the things that when you start learning the language and start learning some vocab, I'm going to pull up Ben Godden's site here. And I'm going to use even if you have the dictionary, you can do this. Oh, I traded mine. That's how I got this. That's how I got my kâniyâsihk hide scraper. Oh, check this out too. The trade blanket was amazing. So I put down some books and I got this. This is a moose bone knife. This is moose rib. Musus bagay. A fellow made this. I don't remember his name, Mike or something. So this moose rib knife and this hide scraper I got in the trade blanket for some books. It was cool. Trade blanket was the coolest thing. Anyway, you can do this in the dictionary too, right? If you just look up a bunch of words. But the whole point being that, like, if we do that same thing, Yeah, highlight those like that. Osawaska nigamut osawask. I was just trying to channel the yell to you about the Cree name. Oh, for the rib? The Cree name for a rib? Is that what it was? Anyway, back to the root word method. So basically it comes down to, if we look at these, and actually there's some good examples in here already. You can find this site if you go to bengodden.com. How do I put that on the screen so you can read it? Chisqua. Let me see if I can get this one. Yeah, I'll put it in here. So this one here. You can go here. This one, bengodden.com. This is the site we're looking at, this one with the green words or whatever. That's this site. And so you can search. I'm using this little hat character. It looks like this. If you hit Shift 6, that's what you get. And what it does is you can search. If you just search for, say, not, then you'll find anything that has not in it. We can do that actually. We've got to click on dictionary. I'll take that little hat off and I'll just search for not. So we can see that if I search for not now, get rid of that. Right? We can see that there's not in the middle of the word. That's not what I'm interested in right now. Right now I'm only interested in not at the beginning of the word. So what I'm going to do, let me bump this up. So this is any part of the word. That's how that works. If I use this, it's a Shift 6 and I type not, okay, then this will be starts with, okay, and then there's one more I can do that is, these are the three operators you can use with this site. A $, and this is ends with not. So this can be useful for looking up very specific things. So if I wanted to, for instance, I'll click on, and it's additive. So if I've got not and then I have AH, you can see at the top there that the one for not is still there, right up here. And then it's added a second search within those ones. So there's my not, and then there's AH there. So if I want to go back, I can click on this, or I can go back to the beginning. So I specifically want to search for begins with not, and then we can see that all of these words have to do with fetching. So nataham fetches something by water. Natahapeo checks their nets. So there's something in here that means net. Natahateo goes for someone by following their tracks. Something in there means tracks. I think we can even search. Nope, can't. Oh no, we have to go back. Switch to English. And then we could search tracks. Okay, that's up here now for tracks. And then we could look at this and be like, okay, is there something in here that means tracks? Is there something? It's not totally obvious to me right now. Yeah, we'll come back to that. Tisqua, I see I got some more comments here. Kayla, wow, this is so. Oh, tapui kitagi miasin. Wow, this is so interesting. Does the site have pronunciation? No. Osawask says, you gained a new follower, learning a language. Tapui. Ay. Miasin, ay, hi. The site, so Kayla, the site does not have pronunciation, but anybody who's interested in getting good pronunciation, I would just say listen to the language a lot and your pronunciation will get good. That's the only way I know of to get good pronunciation is to listen to the language a lot. I can't think of any other way. You have to understand the sounds of the language, like the sounds, or even like say, talk big, and now you need to understand how they sound. Where's that PDF? I don't use this exact chart, but I have them right here. Talk big, and these ones here, right there. Right? I use a different chart than this, but if you understand these sounds, and you can only understand that, well, you could study them, like to put up that Ruben Quinn video earlier. But also, in order to understand how to properly pronounce any of these words that I'm reading, I didn't learn the language by reading. I didn't learn pronunciation by reading, and I don't promote that. If you want to learn to pronounce things correctly, you have to listen to it. You have to listen to the language. You have to listen to fluent speakers. And to do that, you can go on YouTube. I was just searching on YouTube today. Fast Track, you can go to my site here, kiano.net. This is my site. And if you go to the learner library, oh, I can just click on that, can I? Kiano, boom. So if you click on this up here, learner library at the top, right there, whoops, sorry, right there, learner library. And then when you're here, if you want to listen, you can just click on this button right here, listen or watch. I don't have an exhaustive, I don't have the entire internet on here, but if you click on like watch, it'll give you some YouTube channels, Julie Ouellette's page, right? Some storytelling. I try to list off if they're like beginner or intermediate, right? Just try to immerse yourself in the language. I know it's really hard to listen to the language for a long time and not understand what's being said. But just keep pushing through it. So there's where you can, and otherwise, the other thing I do is I'll go on YouTube. I was just doing this today. Whoops, what was that? YouTube. And I'll just go Cree elders, Cree elder, right? I was just flipping through here today being like, oh, is there more language and stuff? Like this is all Cree. Pretty sure this is mostly Cree. And then I'll go into that one. I'll go into here like this, right? I know he's speaking. Then I'll go to the channel. I'll be like, okay, what else do they have for Cree language stuff? This Barry Henneque, I have a friend who transcribed this. He's actually the guy who made this site, Ben Godden. He transcribed this whole video. But if you go in here, then there's Belinda Daniels. There's more stuff. Some will be in the language, some will be in English, but I'll go find all of the Cree videos and then just listen to them. Because you'll start to hear words, right? You'll start to be like, oh, I keep hearing this over and over again. You start recognizing the sounds and recognizing the patterns in the language. And then once you get some of that figured out, then you can start tying it back to the writing. You could start tying it back to, okay, how do I say this? Peaguao. Because I heard a fluent speaker say that over and over and over and over again. Okay, peaguao. Egigisagag. Right? Gintomeo. Once you hear the language a lot, then you start to understand how to say things, if that makes sense. So anyway, back to this one. I'm looking for, I want to start with Nihuiwin. So we can see just by looking at this, that's kind of how I knew when I saw that word. There were a couple times we saw that. Let me just go back to that story, not that one, this one. Just search for that again, right? It showed up a bunch of times. Look how many times that just that one piece of meaning showed up in this story, right? Not natto toeo, that's different because that's a short A. Nut, this one, nateo. He went to fetch them. But then when I saw this one, I didn't know this word, natisahweowak. I'm pretty sure it has to do with fetching something because it starts with that not. Now, it doesn't always mean, just because it starts with something, it doesn't always mean that. There could be more meaning. Maybe not. This might mean something. But that was my hunch, and it turned out it was, right? Not this ahoyo means that one orders something animate or calls for something, orders it. I forget what that means already. Not this ahoyo. So then the question is, send for something, drive someone in. So then I'm super curious what part of that means what, and that's what the root word method is about. So it's like, okay, let's go back to that word, not this. Let me find it here. Not this ahoyo. Let me bring it over here. Let's just do that. Ahoy. Can we find meaning in just this part here? Ahoy. Does that mean anything on its own? How many words have that in it? Apita ahoyo, to bruise something by beating. Goga ahoyo, staple something, sew something, hang something on a tree, on a wall. It's almost like it has to do with by tool, knock someone back, send someone back. Yeah, interesting. To ho, ayahoyo, ho someone. Ayatahoyo. So you can see that little piece is in there, and it has some kind of, maybe there's a similar meaning. Maybe it means by tool or something. But I do know that not, right? Words that start with that not have to do with fetching. Check on their nets. Pull something to shore. Sail towards shore. So this one's different. That's nataga. I probably is the morpheme for this one. Has to do with the shore. Nataga. So like I said, just because it starts with not, so this one doesn't have to do with fetching, but that's because it's a different morpheme. This morpheme is nataga, I'm guessing. It has to do with the shore. Natagam and natagame piteo. There's another one. That bit. There's another good one. This has to do with usually like pulling. So if we just go pit, agopita, place it, tie something on, apply, tie, asahpita, asahpitam, tie it together, asepita, pull it back, astipita, pull something against something, asti. So then there's another one. Asti means like with, right? So there's all these little pieces, and that's part of what they were talking about at when I first got there, about that root word method, about understanding and studying these pieces. I wish we had like a course or something for this. We don't yet. I know Ben's got a game. I'm gonna try and talk him out of that. A copy. But it would be useful, because there's some of the pieces, and that's what, let me see if I have a photo of that. Oh, I got to share this with you. It was so funny. At the camp, I have a video of this. And if you're a fluent speaker, this will be worth a good laugh. I'll see these on TikTok. We were building these words, so I've got a picture of this. Tisqua, this is it right here. Okay, let me see if I can remember what these mean. This is what they were talking about the root word method. A little bit, or like, he wasn't calling it root word, he was calling it morphemes. So tum is to grease something. I wonder if I have a picture of that other thing. I only took a picture of this. Wag is when something's bent. Kin with that is when something is long. And kanat is like to clean something. So then the end part here generally means by hand. I think it can mean by speech too, but if we look in here, we'll go back. Say, if we say ineo, let's make sure it ends in that. Wapeneo, to throw something, so throwing is by hand. Achitneo, hold something upside down, that's by hand. Agotse wapeneo, throw something to hang. Let's check another one here. There's like lots and lots of them. Zakaneo, touch something small, to poke at something. A putneo, turn something inside out. So these are all by hand, something done by hand, right? So that N generally, like that, what's it, neo, something like that, usually means by hand. And then ito means each other. So he was saying this word out loud. The fluid speakers there, they were bent over laughing. That one old guy, he looked like he wanted to get up and leave, because what he was saying is kitum nito or something like kitum tinano. We grease each other by hand. These fluid speakers are just falling out of their chairs. And then he says, "Ni wagin and no, we bend each other." It just went from bad to worse. Make each other longer. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But anyway, what he was demonstrating is that the pieces of how the words can be constructed. Lucy says, "Anin Buju, watching from Mantulan Island, Canada, Ontario. Anin, tapwe." So I'm going to start putting some more time into this as I'm able. I know Blue Quills has a morpheme dictionary, so we're going to start looking at that a little bit. But anyway, just studying the pieces of the words, and then thinking about, like, is there a useful set of... You probably couldn't take the whole dictionary and just like deconstruct it in this way, but it can be useful, like in Neo. So we found a bunch of stuff that had to do with doing stuff by hand. But here's another one, right? Ipitum. Like pitum, or like that is a very specific inflection, meaning that person's doing something to a thing, doing something to something. But ipita, so pull against something, pull something down, shorten something by pulling, pull something there. Tahkipita, grab something, pull something by scraping. So that ipita part, it seems like it has a lot to do with pulling, right? Muskipita, pull something, uncover something. So then what's interesting about that, mananto, uminayak, mananto niya, kimaga, the sisters, yeah, niya mananto, kimaga, tansikiwa. So then what's interesting about this is if we look at this, right? Utipita, pull something from somewhere. So pita is like the pulling part. Uti is like from somewhere. Utipita, not utipita, but utipita, pull something out. Another way I've learned that, it's probably on the last page. It's going to be right here. Oh, I don't even see it. Waiwipita. Oh, it's not even there. That's okay. Waiwipita, to pull something out. Utipita, pull something out. Beitipita, to bring something by pulling. Bistipita, accidentally drag. Bistipita. So that means that I can study these now, and I get the sense that, okay, bisti, like I know pita means that pulling part, right? Bisti is going to be the accidental part. Bititipita, pull something forth. Biwipita, drop and scatter something about. Bustipita, pull something on. So I'm like, okay, puste, what's that mean? That's interesting. Puste starts with pustpayu. So something goes on like a ring, like if you put a ring on your finger, I guess. Pustipitam, pull something on. Pustipiteo, that would be if you pull something on like your pants. Or socks, I guess, see? Pustipiteo sigana. Interesting. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to start talking about this a little bit because I think it's super interesting. I'm going to find it. I do have a copy of that morpheme dictionary from Blue Quills. I don't know if I can share it yet, so I need to find out what the scoop is there, if that's something that can be shared, if that's something... I know they have a print version you can buy, so I'll have to ask around. Let's go back to that other ipitam. Right? Astipita, pull something against it. So that's really interesting. So aste, like I've heard that said, if you say, you know, like what else goes with this? Kiwaiguaste, like what else? Aste. But then that combination of aste and pita, right? I know aste means like along with. So then let me just open another tab. Aste. And we're going to say that starts with, oops, wrong character. Aste. So then we can look at that. Astipiteo, so that's going to be something animate. Astimeo. Link someone's name with another. Interesting. That's an interesting connotation. That M right there often, not always, but often means kind of like by speech, like atimo, right? If we look at ate, long A, there's different, not even ate, it's probably going to be atim is what I'm looking for. That's probably the morpheme. But there's a couple that are very similar. Atimeo, to tell about someone. Atimigaso, told about. Atimgosu, told about by the powers. Atimso, tell about yourself. Atimostoio, tell tales to someone. Atimostoio, atimostamuo, and atimostoio, tell a story to someone, tell news, tell someone about. Atimostageo, atimoheo, makes someone tell a story. So even just knowing that one atim, and then sometimes T's and C's are the same. I don't know if you can say ate. No, that means something different. It's got to be ato. And I don't know why. But then this is another morpheme, that ato. It is told of, talked about, tells about, famed, tells about someone. Atotam. And another one that's similar, mamsku. Mamisk. Let's see what that brings up. Mamsku. Disgust, I guess. Mamsku. It's a long O, it looks like. Mamsku. Whoops. Come on. There. Yeah, disgust. Mamskutigateo, mamskutageo, mamskumeo, mamskumso, mamskutam, mamskutamo, right? Anyway, all I'm trying to say is that when we learn these little pieces, it's another one. Paye, there's another piece, which can be like suddenly. How many are in here? There's only 688 words in this dictionary that have paye. It's payu, it moves. Go payeho, And then there's this one here. You see that H right there? Right? That can be causative. That means to cause something. I wonder if you can say agopayaheo. Maybe not, eh? So this is the site, this one here, bengodden.com. And if you get in there, there's a couple of rules, or like a couple of things you can do. If you just search in the search for something, then you'll get any part of the word. If you put this little, that's called a caret. It's like hit shift and the number 6 on a desktop. Probably hold the 6 there. You just have to use your special keyboard on the phone. But this little thing here means starts with, this little caret, if you put that in the front. And the $sign in the end means ends with. So if we want something that starts with not, then we want to put that little caret there. And if we want something that ends with not, then we put that $sign at the end. And so this one here, I'm looking for something that starts with mom's school. But if I wanted something that ended with, so I'll start over, I'll hit dictionary. I'll go ipitum, and I'll put $. And it'll only show me stuff that has ipitum at the end. Ipitum, ipitum. But if I wanted ipit, anywhere in the middle, now it's going to be astipiteo. It could be anywhere in the word now. Awatipitamoheo, right? So pitam was in there, but not at the end of the word. And then there's oheo. It's like, wonder what that means. Tigipititoak. They scratch each other. Interesting. Anyway, hope that was helpful. I think we're going to wrap it up there tonight. I know I got started a little bit late. I'm usually on Sundays, and we're going to tie into this some more. I'm going to find out if we can, maybe next Sunday what we'll do is we'll start digging into, we'll find some, I'll see if I can get some morphemes off of Ben, not the greasy one, because that was too funny. I'll see if I can talk to Ben, see if I can publish that video. No, just teasing him. About greasing each other by hand. I'll get community guideline warnings from TikTok. Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up there. So there's some resources for you. Yeah, check out that bengodden.com. You can go on my site kiyano.net. There's some learner resources on there. Ituewana is the dictionary. What is it? Ituewana.altlab.app. This comes out of the U of A. altlab.app. That's their dictionary there. Some resources there, and we'll just wrap it up there tonight. We're coming up on 8. Now that I got my setup working again, what a rigmarole. I had to figure out how to get all my parts talking to each other so I could live stream. Matsaga expit the maka kyoktam skat na wow. Miitin mana kiwao egipegyo gyogoik that y'all come visit me. Makes me happy. Kitami hin na wow. Yeah, tapoy mistahe. And we'll stick around for a few minutes. If anyone wants to visit, let me know where you're tuned in from. Got some folks in from Ontario. I thought we had one from, where was that at? Somewhere in the US. It wasn't Arkansas. It was, going back in my comments here, Phoenix, Arizona. Crystal was tuned in from Phoenix, Arizona. And then, did somebody say they're from Rocky Boy, or that was their Rock Cree? I forget which it was. Yeah. Rocky Cree, that's what it was. And then some folks from my Louisville. Miko Kinum Maikan, I'm about an hour south of you. About an hour south. Near the border, I guess, then, hey? Like Soyuz? Or are you on the... No, an hour. You'd have to be more than an hour to be in the States. Kelko, I'm saying that right? Cold Lake. Man, you're really close to the camp. I was just at. I just drove by Cold Lake. Man, I'll have to pull up more. It was such... I wonder if I could probably share some photos here. Where's that at? Cree Literacy. Miko says, depends how fast you drive. Lol. Yeah, we showed up a couple days early from this gathering. Oh, I thought Arden had... Oh, maybe it's in here. Latest posts. This one, yeah. There, that transcription I just showed you, this is a picture of us working on it right there. This was an amazing moment. Amazing moment. So we were out there hanging out with this Wagasenu West Fine Day, talking about these Bloomfield texts. The third edition, I had them printed off. I gave them the binder. We're working on those. We're going to get those online soon. But then we had this one recording, this one right here, of his mom that I'd started on. And I just randomly found this recording of his mom after getting off the phone with him one day, which was like crazy. I messaged him. I'm like, hey, Mushroom, do you know an Irene Fine Day? He's like, that's my mom. So I sent him a little snippet of the recording, and he was like, he messaged me back about 15 minutes later. He's like, that was spooky. My wife thought my mom sent me a voicemail. Anyway, so we're sitting here, and I'm playing this recording, and I've got Wes Fine Day. We're working on this transcription. I could play a little bit of it for you if you want. Let's listen to like 30 seconds of it here. And let me, if I bump this up a little bit, can you read that? Yeah, not bad. So if we start here. So we're sitting there at Sweetgrass, literally working on this exact transcription like 2 weeks ago. I've got Wes Fine Day on one side. He's like translating in real time, and I got Dorothy Thunder on the other side, and she's like correcting my spelling. It was amazing. And you can see I've got my my phone on my selfie stick way up in the air because we were at the powwow grounds and the cell reception wasn't super great. So I could be online, so I had it charging and way up in the air so that my hotspot would work. Anyway, it was amazing. And then we've been out there that week talking about, Wes was telling us all this history about his great-grandpa, kâniyâsihk, and he was telling us about strikes him on the back and all of these old stories and all of this stuff surrounding the stories that Bloomfield, like all of this stuff. And then we're transcribing this story, and man, it's right up here somewhere. She starts talking about Poundmaker, because this is about the 1885 resistance, right? She starts talking about Poundmaker. Poundmaker. And then she mentions his warrior chief, and then she says his name, kâniyâsihk. And I'm like, what? That's Wes Fine Day's great-grandpa. I was just blown away. We're working on this recording, and here it's about his great-grandpa. So it was a really interesting, magical week at Sweetgrass. And then I left there. My brain still half melted from everything that happened. And then went to kâniyâsihk, to this camp, and hung out with these guys for another week. Spent a couple days with Kevin and his class, and then the water gathering started on Wednesday. I'm still I'm still like thinking about all of the pieces and trying to figure it all out because there was so much language. There was just so much. At one point, I couldn't even understand people when they were talking to me, when they were just saying really, really basic stuff, and my brain was so full. Anyway, it was beautiful. It was amazing. I'm just kind of filling time here. I am going to go eat pretty quick. I just wanted to make sure I got online and make sure I got online and got some language into your feed tonight. Tagiske sumtago kaya kepets itagono maneyo, and the language is still here. It's not too late to get started. Just kepets apsisayawag tatogisigaw, a little bit more every day. A little bit more. Yeah, Mia Sin. So we'll go for one more minute if there's any last comments or questions. I know there's a tiny bit of lag on the stream when I'm on the stream this way, so I'll just leave it for another minute. And then we'll shut it down. Makes me wonder, what is my lag here? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. About 8 seconds. Definitely not that bad when I'm on my phone. Sometimes it's faster than that, restreamed. All good. Okay. Olkakio, kâniyâsihk wow. Mina tamskatagok in mea sino mai kiano anuts mamuapia tai mitsege tai tato skatamakumanihuin. It's good that we got together to work on the language tonight. Mr. and my naskumun, I'm grateful for that. Kistawao kâniyâsihk wow. I'm grateful for all of you. Kape tagosini kape Vitapemiek that came to sit with me tonight. We'll pick this up again on Sunday. Next Sunday, same time, 6 o'clock Pacific. Ahau, gagisita negwa. I'm going to finish it up there. And we'll see you next time. Minagi Tom.